Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know the next line of the song, but I know good morning. Good morning to you and you and you and you. How's that? Hey. Cluttered and want to get unstuck? I can help. Follow my page 2, thanks. So that's what it says when we have the new people. Laura Gibbons Voorhees. My goodness, what are we going to do when your house is all decluttered? We're just going to have to, you're just going to have to hang out here socially, huh? Isn't it nice when you have a habit and also, honestly, to me, something you can rely on? You can rely on me. You got a friend in me. Good morning, Judy. And Mary and Paula. Paula, there's my Boston accent coming out. It's like, hey, don't you forget about me. And Becky. Spreading sunshine. Spreading sunshine. If you're able to spread some sunshine, could you do it here in PA? It's a little bit gray and monochrome out, and that's not my jam. So, hey, you know what, Laura? I appreciate your support too. Pinky Silver Chloe, it's been a while. Nice to see you. And Paula R. Okay, it's gray in Syracuse too. Okay, do what you can. No big deal. So, yes, you know what? This is a two-way street. What was it? I found love on a two-way street and lost it on a lonely highway. I don't know who sings that, but that's what just came into my head and out of my mouth. Yeah, this is a two-way street. You're here. Yeah, okay, Laura Gibbon Voorhees. I'm always just going to pronounce all your names because there's a wicked lot of Lauras. Laura is saying it feels like decluttering in the basement in the house is going to take forever, but it won't. I know that feeling because oh my gosh, I don't even know if I took pictures when I began our basement decluttering. Just remind yourself, and this is something that you just kind of have to keep telling yourself until you feel it and you see it, that every time you show up to do some decluttering down there, you have made progress. It's like the little dotted line here. Let me straighten out. On my little road trippy thingy, right? You're here and you're thinking, oh my God, it's going to take forever to get there. But no, it's going to take some chunks. It's going to take some chunks, and I need a haircut. So you're doing good. It may feel like it's going to take forever, but that's when also, notice our feelings are good, but sometimes they're misguided. They're ill-informed because sometimes we feel like we have all the time in the world, and then we're like, oh my God, it's already 9 o'clock. So you're going to do well. I know if you're down the basement or the house, whatever, in 57 minutes, if you declutter along with me, as people have done, and I know you have done too, that you will be less cluttered than you were right now. So just get started, dearie. You got it, right? Ms. Crentis, thank you for sharing the live. Becky R, 68. Pittsburgh is expecting snow today and tomorrow. I saw a thing on TikTok, because I, like you, I'm always on TikTok, about some crazy kind of very interesting storm thing. This is me kind of tracing the pattern of where the storm is. It's not going to hit eastern PA where I am from, but hunker down and enjoy the snowflakes, okay? Shannon in retrograde, good morning to you too. Looking forward to some words of encouragement this morning and glad you're live. I'm glad I'm alive too. I'm glad I'm live too. I enjoy doing my TikTok lives. They're wicked fun to me. I don't do things nowadays that are not fun to me. If I'm like, I drag my feet. But this I look forward to because you guys keep me company. I love it. Kat Roby, heyo. She's got her Beth Blinder, scheduled Beth Blinders, that's what she calls it, to clear emails in prep for Mexican vacation. I want to go to a Mexican vacation because I'm on a Mexican radio, eating barbecued iguana and all that, right? Yes, it is better. See, you do need to remind ourselves. The way we are wired brain-wise as humans is we forget some things, so we need to remind ourselves of that, and there's nothing wrong. So for those of you who maybe are not following along, or if you're watching the recording when it gets uploaded to YouTube, she says, I do need to remind myself. It is better. And she used all capital letters for better. ... I can actually walk around the basement easier better, easier. Love it. Very good. Hey, Abbott Elementary, nice to see you. And see, I'm here. She says, I was late. There is no late. You show up when you want to. I am not taking attendance. This is all about you. You show up when you can. You stay here for as long as you can. And you leave when you need to. Okay? I just show up. I commit to the full hour. Nobody else has to except for me. You have the power to come and go as you please. But you are late because you're hanging a beautiful flower basket that used to be clutter. Yeah, notice the things you have that you have kept because, and sometimes they're just clutter. They're there and it's a flower basket without the flowers in it. Or maybe it's the flower basket with the flowers in it, but it's not hanging. But you put together that trio, like the Kingston Trio. I was going to sing Trailers for Sailors for Sale or Rent. Wouldn't that be funny? It's like a gay theme. Trailers for Sale or Rent, but that was that guy, Roger Miller. Not of Birdsongs of the Mesozoic or Mission of Burma, the other one, okay? So yeah, you've got stuff in your home. So do I. We've got things you want to talk about. I will too, Mr. Rogers, like Ms. Rogers. You've got stuff in your house. Stuff that you use, just used my chapstick. Stuff you wear, clothing, thank goodness I'm not here naked. And some things you don't use. Some things you don't wear, some things you don't eat in your pantry, some things you do not decorate with, some things you don't use in the kitchen to make foods or eat foods or whatever. You have things in your house that are not being used. Now, here's an interesting thing. This is the time of year, week before Thanksgiving. This time next week, some of us will be prepping for Thanksgiving. I share this because sometimes, and yes, I see Abbott Elementary. Yeah, was in the bathroom. I was in the bathroom too. I was blow drying my hair. It didn't dry all the way. It is almost Thanksgiving. This time of year is one of the times of year where things that you have had stored for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. It was okay that it was in storage because you don't use certain things at certain times of the season. However, for many of us, we have items that we have stored away for the holiday season. Now, in my brain, that kind of starts at Halloween, but it really kicks in at Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's even, and then the next year. So notice that this time of year, you may be getting into boxes you put away last year. You know, so notice that, and you want to do that. So notice what you put away, and when you open it up this year, let me share this with you. Get it in order. You are allowed to change what you do in the holiday season if you want. You have the power, and you have my permission. Okay. So notice that too. And you can do that. Just because you have done something up until now in one way, you can change anytime you like, okay? So just offer that. I'm offering that to you. And I always forget to do this. For new folks who may not know me, hey, my name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach, and here on TikTok and on YouTube and on my website, Destination Decluttered. Why? Because I love to travel, and life is a highway. Life is a journey, okay? Now, I love this. Laura in San Diego is chiming in with a win. You know, a little high five for Laura. Yesterday, I donated 2 large bags of clothes and shoes. Progress. Yes, complete progress. Every little bit helps. Even on my giant mug here, I think that's what it says there. Is that what it says? No, actually, it says it on my end here. But live your life like a road trip as well. Every little bit helps. Now, I love this. So, Abbott Elementary, she's like, oh, I was late. I was hanging up this thing. I was in the bathroom for no good reason, but you were. Because you said the flower basket was in the bathroom, and it was a clutter catcher. And now it is, hanging up, so it's not clutter anymore. I love it. Yay. We wore what? Can you give us a tour? Nope. Nah. Yeah, I sit here in my office. It's funny, I was thinking of earlier this week, because my husband is doing some songwriting in Nashville. I was going to do my TikTok lives in other parts of the house. I kind of forgot about that. And frankly, I do so much coaching from my desk that it wasn't practical to do it. So I say to you, give yourself a tour of your house. Do you like what you see? Do you like where it is? Do you like how that thing makes you feel? If you can answer any of those questions to yes or no, we may be a good fit. Because I show up to help people who maybe like their stuff, but they don't like where it is. Maybe they like their stuff, but there is too much of it, a quantity, a number of items that hits the too much button. Okay? I love it. Advent Elementary is going through the process, hanging it on the back porch with flowers I stole from my husband's stash. His flowers, my flowers. Yeah. So notice that. Clutter. People ask me what clutter is. I say clutter is the stuff that you may not want, but you don't know what to do with, or you know what you want to do with it, but you kind of are afraid to do that thing. Yeah, so Laura San Diego, notice the too much. Many of us fall into the quantity category. I know myself that it's like I have definitely whittled down the quantities of things that I have. Because sometimes having too much doesn't make things easier. It actually makes it more difficult. One of the stories from my past that always comes to mind that I'll share with you is I used to collect. I used to collect and sell mid-century modern and vintage things. So during those collecting things, I loved collecting the stuff. And because I was selling it, it didn't matter if I had 5, 6, 7, 8 chip and dips, like the funky cool ones with the little thing where it hooks on. So it didn't matter when I was selling it. But when I stopped selling it, I was left with 5, 6, 7, 8 chip and dips. Now, I don't need but one of them, or maybe 2 when we're having a blowout party. However, having that amount to choose from used time and energy when I had people over. Which one am I going to use? I'm going to use the purple one. Am I going to use the one with the gold trim? Am I going to use the glass one that's this one? Am I going to use the one that's the plastic? Which one am I going to use? When you have fewer items and you like the items you've kept, when you have only one chip and dip, there's no decision making. You pull out the one chip and dip you have. And if you don't have a chip and dip, you get out a mixing bowl and a smaller mixing bowl, and you put the chips in one and the dip in another. Even if I had no fancy chip and dips at all, I could still serve chips and dip. And you know with me, it's going to be that sour cream with the Lipton onion soup mix type of thing. Yeah, because that's me. Okay? So, I love it. Diane is saying, I started going through clothes and doing donation pickup. Love it. Joycey, retired last year and can't seem to get rid of my work clothes, high heels, and shoes. How do I start? You kind of have already started because you're asking me, so you know you don't want some of that, and you know that in all practical sense, those clothes right now do not make sense for maybe the life you're living. But remember, a lot of the stuff we have tells you stories. And it tells you stories, and they are souvenirs of a time in your life that maybe not is here anymore. Okay, Cat Mama, okay, it has nursing uniforms. You know what? Here's what I want to say is sometimes we feel like when we let go of those things, it's almost like we are definitely closing the door on that chapter, closing the page maybe on that, turning the page. Turn the page. Notice, closing the door, turning the page on that chapter in our lives. I am no longer working where I wear work clothes, high heels. Oh, wow, that's weird. That was me for a while. I was that high heel wearing work lady. Cat Mama has nursing uniforms. Oh, I used to be a nurse. Not I am a nurse. I used to be. Or at least I used to wear these uniforms. No, this is wonderful, you guys. This is why I love to hang out. And I love that this is something that's open to everybody. Because people come in, people come out. The worms play pinochle on your snout. And right below Cat Mama's comment of me too, I have nursing uniforms, Leslie F. offers up an idea. Because we're all here to help each other. Donated nursing uniforms to hospice care, and they were so excited. But just notice, you're going to have a connection to who you were. I had a bit of a bittersweet moment on Sunday. Those of you who tuned into the not the TikTok live, the Zoom group Zoom that we have, know that I was leaving that group Zoom and I was driving up to Allentown and donating some things that I used to collect to some people that I knew wanted them. I knew it was the right thing to do. I didn't want them. They were just hanging in my basement. But I really realized as I was driving away from that place with those things no longer there, like, wow, yeah, that part of my life is really kind of not necessarily 100% over, but man, has it dwindled. And you know what? That time passed, and it's something I enjoyed doing, but I don't really anymore, so there can be some bittersweetness. But then I said, but you know what? When I get home, like literally this week, I haven't missed those things at all. If anything, I got a wicked nice like email thank you note from them, you know? Now, there we go. Kat Roby says, I have my mom's nursing books and supplies, cute little trinkets, hope to donate to the school where she taught. Yeah, you know, I tried to give them to the vet students, and Kat is maybe going to establish a scholarship there in her mom's name. Notice those things that you want to do with those things and how these things can inspire you to do these things. All right? Hey, I see that Carla Jane is on here. How is it going, dear? I like to see you. I only see the picture of you, and I see it with the long hair, but your hair always looks great, so I know your hair looks great tonight. This morning, rather. Yeah. Now, here's a really cool thing, too. Again, I show up sometimes to give the advice, and sometimes I'm just the receiver of it, and then I can transmit it to you guys. I'm like the hub in the wagon wheel, okay? So Therapy Gal Sue says, I noticed that I had difficulty bringing items to donation. So I noticed where I was stuck. Says Therapy Gal Sue. I Googled, pick up from me, boom, boom. If I struggle with that part of the process, what can I do to get myself through that part of the process? So if you struggle to get them there are places that can pick stuff up. Now, these things all depend on where you live. As I like to say, your mileage may vary because it depends on where you live and what the resources are available to you. Like, for example, I live in eastern Pennsylvania in a very metropolized area, which I love. So I have a lot of resources near me. On the other hand, Carla lives in a little bit more of a rural area of Alabama, and so she has different access to resources for these things than I do. That's okay. Look at the resources that are available to you. Google is your friend in that respect. So I love that. And what an awesome idea. As Cat Mama is giving Kat Roby the high five. Oh, look, 2 cats. Cat with a C, cat with a K. You know? There we go. Yeah, Carla Jane. See, she threw out old paint yesterday. Not going to use that paint anymore. Probably got all nasty anyway. Crispus wrapping paper or also. Okay. Gigi Gina says no resources in Eastern Kentucky. Okay, here's one. Make your own resource. Put a table on your front step or your front yard. Put a free sign on it and put it on your local. You must have, I'm assuming, it is an assumption. I'm assuming you have a local like Facebook page. Even a free sign on a kitchen table out on the front of your stoop does wonders. Okay? Get creative. You guys would not be hanging around me unless you were smart cookies. Okay? Or tough cookies, as my friend Adam calls his things. But you guys are smart cookies. Okay? You have a brain. You have an imagination. Sometimes it just takes somebody like me to remind you to dust that off and say, hey, yeah, this is something I want to keep and use. It's my brain and my imagination. I can figure something out. You know? So, yeah. Notice this. Yeah. And Cat Mama saying, I have my original uniforms with school logo. I may look into donating school, but it closed years ago. You know what? Here's another thing, you guys. Seriously. I know it's not necessarily the season. You could donate those to a place like a thrift store before Halloween. Maybe somebody wants to dress up as a nurse. You could look for places where people wear costumes. Now, do you have a local kind of community theater type of thing? A school maybe, a nursing school. There are places for your stuff to go. And it doesn't need to be the exact right place, because sometimes that can jam you up. I got to play Noah's Ark. I got to match up this thing with that thing and make it sure it's the right place. Sometimes that can work out. Sometimes it doesn't. I knew specifically with these items that I donated on Saturday, Sunday rather, they were things that came from drive-in movie theaters that I had visited literally from 1988 to 2022. I had just picked them up along the way, or people had sent, not much, but I had picked them up. I didn't have them on display. I didn't care to have them on display. And I said, but I don't know what to do with these lit. So I allowed them to sit there. And then one day it occurred to me, hey, wait a minute. The oldest drive-in movie theater in the entire country that is still running is an hour north of me in Orfield, Pennsylvania, just north of Allentown. Recently, it was purchased and taken over by this awesome, lovely young couple. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe these guys would like these. So I emailed them and I explained what I had. And they said, oh my God, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I drove up there and I gave them to them. So sometimes finding the right home for those specific things helps. But also, don't let that get in your way. If you don't have it, I have a table down the basement that was kind of the limbo area. It was stuff that I didn't know what to do with yet. Okay? So notice that now may not feel like the right time to get rid of things. That's okay. You can have a limbo table. Just don't let your house become the limbo table. Have a cordoned off section. You know, I had like this old IKEA table that I think I used to use in this room because I've been in this house 20 years. Didn't use it. We moved it down the basement, and that's where I put the stuff that I was like, I'm not sure what to do with this yet. But then I would go down and visit it, and I'd be like, you know what? I can donate that. Oh, you know what? My sister might like that. I don't have much on it, frankly. Now a lot of it's my husband's. Just because you can't easily figure out what to do with it now, don't let that stop you. Put those things that are kind of that yellow limbo, I don't know what to do, put it aside and continue to work on the things you know you want to keep. Like Carla and I were talking about this yesterday. A whole bunch of kitchen stuff. I know I want to keep this kitchen item because this is how I cook. I also extend it to other people in my family. I'm going to give my daughter the option to come into the kitchen and pull out whatever she wants. That's the green light in the traffic signal in your body, the stuff that touches your heart. The stuff you know you don't want is like, nope, don't want it. I took what I wanted and I don't want the rest. That's the red light in your belly, kind of like where your poop chute is, as I like to so delicately say. Your body does this all the time. It keeps the nutrients. It excretes the rest that you don't want. With clutter, it's the stuff that is kind of in limbo. Like if you're in a traffic thing, green light means go, red light means no. And in the middle is that kind of balance. Do I speed up? Do I slow down? Do I stop? Do I speed up? Sometimes you don't know what to do. That's okay. Sometimes you will not know what to do with everything at that time. Set it aside and keep on going with the stuff you do know you like, that has a clean kind of, like, I feel good about this decision. And the stuff I don't want, feel good about this decision. Most of the time when I do my one-on-one coaching and we talk about things here, I help people through that yellow, should I stay or should I go, as the Clash would say. That yellow light of why don't I, why do I not want it but I'm holding on to it? Notice, I don't want it, I want to let it go, but I'm kind of clinging on to it. You know? I love this. Couple more ideas that are coming in. It's Me Deb says another place to donate is a domestic abuse shelter. I love that. Definitely call places in advance or look it up and see what they need. You don't want to donate stuff that they may not need, but what a wonderful idea. And user 34904, I love this because I kind of forgot about this myself. H&M, so that's a clothing store that's near many of us, or some of us. Well, it's near me anyway, and user 3490. H&M has a donation upcycle box for clothes to be repurposed into new items, and you get 15% off. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe you're like, you know what? I lost a couple of pounds. I'm going to bring my old clothes. I'm going to donate to H&M. And I'm going to use 15% to buy myself some ones that fit my body. You know? Okay, it's 3 hours from you, then don't do it. Gina, there are ways you can do this. You have neighbors. Hey, does anybody want a thing? You know, put up a list. Just post it somewhere on the internet. Put a list in your local I don't know, you could even put a sign outside your front door, you know? If you want to find, I have a little thing that I bought because I used to be all into with my road tripping and driving, movie collecting and all that for decades. I also loved going to those old kind of ticky-tacky souvenir shops, you know, and we would have a lot of those out here in Lancaster, PA, the Amish and whatnot. We had Zooks where you could buy little hex signs. Kimberly, thank you for the roses. That was very nice. Ooh, and somebody gave me a dancing person. That's awesome. I don't even know what that means, but that's really cool. So thank you. So I used to buy a lot of these little souvenirs, and you get those like trivets that have the wacky, the sayings on them, like, oh, I should have danced all night or something, like something goofy. And one of the ones I have in the kitchen, and I'm going to I'm going to mangle this, but it is like, if you want to find a way, those who want to find a way, find a way. Those who don't want to find a way, find excuses. Now, I get it that you say, oh, there's none near me. That's a fact. But don't let that be the end of your journey. Get creative. Say, what is around me? What can I do? You know? All right. Fest Cheers is lit up in Beth's Destination Decluttered Gift Gallery. I have no idea what this is about. Anyone who sends the gift will contribute 150% live Fest points to the live creator. Thank you. I don't really know, and I don't really get into a lot of the TikTok, like, little spiffs are. I'm always thank you. It's me, Deb, just sent me a heart. Somebody got a gifter badge. Thank you so much for those things, but I don't really know what to do with them. I know a lot of people monetize their TikTok shops with those types of gifts. It's not something I do. Honestly, the only way I make money from what I do is I have one-on-one clients that I coach with, and they pay. So the neat thing is, any of you one-on-one clients, Carla, you know this, you working with me helps me be able to afford showing up for free for other people. So you're doing a good job. Okay, so thank you for the gifts. I appreciate them. I do. But I will not encourage you, like I do not force you to send me the TikTok gifts. Okay. Now, Joni is saying, one of my big hang-ups is toys. They don't feel like they're mine, and some have sentimental value. Okay, so notice what you've given me some clues. I'm like Nancy Drew sometimes. So they don't feel like they're mine. Were they yours directly, or were they, something that was handed down? You're right. You may have inherited some toys. Now, notice there's a difference of sentimental value and monetary value. They have sentimental value to whom? See, we need more details. We need more clues. Right? I'm thinking they don't have sentimental value to you because you're kind of saying it's a hang-up. You're not saying I love these toys. If you love the toys and you kept them, you wouldn't be, oh, thank you for the heart. You wouldn't be getting in touch with me. So who do they have sentimental value to? Or I'm thinking it might be, who did they have sentimental value to? Maybe that person isn't there anymore. Okay, so it's your kids' toys. Okay, I love this. So I see a couple cool things. I'm trying to stay focused. Okay, your kids' toys, right? Please. I had a conversation with a one-on-one client about this yesterday. I think it's really important to get your children involved in the decluttering process as soon as you feel like you are going to be you want to start to cull some items out of their stuff. I hear from so many people how angry and resentful they still are that their parent, usually it was their mother, but it could have been a dad, their parent gave away something of theirs without consulting them or asking them. They just did it. So you went to go look for that thing and it was gone. My mother did the same thing. She used to tell us, oh no, all those toys are up in the attic. Yeah, we climbed up in the attic, Ma. We knew they weren't there. Nice try. We love her anyway. I also share this to get the kids involved sooner rather than later is because decluttering is a life skill. Now, it is something that some of the generation above us did not learn. Now, we know this. Carla knows this because she's digging out her mom's house. I'm digging out my mother's house. So the older generation didn't deal with a lot of their clutter. So we have to dig it out. We don't want to be that same thing for them, but we also don't want to traumatize our kids, your kids, And we also want to build that skill with them to say it's okay to use something for a while. And then when you're not using it, let it go and go to somewhere else. Now, I don't say this to be wasteful or consumeristic. No, if anything, fewer toys they will enjoy more. So keeping a limit on, and not like a hard and fast one, but when it feels like too many toys. And then just have a conversation and make it feel natural. It is natural to not want things anymore. Kids will be like, I don't want to play with that. That's a baby toy. I want to play with the big girl toys. You know, kids feel this anyway. Tell them it's okay to release things. Other than that, we're gonna raise another generation of people hanging on to stuff because that's what they were taught. You know. Now I love this. Couple of ideas here. User 1963, my high school has a secret room for teens to get items, food, clothing, supplies, linens, and decor. How cool is that they have that? Because you guys, there are people out there that do not have the problem you and I have with clutter. Clutter is an abundance problem. It is a byproduct of living a life that you have the ability to afford too much. Now, sometimes it's not necessarily things you spent, money you spent on it. It was maybe inherited, but you still have more than you need and more than you want. Now, that more than you need section of your stuff could really help somebody else. So kind of put on, instead of your Beth blinders that Kat Roby tends to put on when she's focusing, maybe take your blinders off and get curious. Where around me? Churches. You guys got churches? I bet churches could use donations for people that they know in their parish that are struggling. You don't need to know the struggler. There are these intermediary places, thrift stores, table on the front yard. Carla says, Mysticata. You know, I do Misfit Market. The cold packs are picked up if you live in a big city. Yeah. Pick them, take them to the Parks and Recs and use them for Meals on Wheels. See? What a great idea. Those cold packs you have, they can go help somebody. You know? All right. See, everybody, notice as the moms say, yep, my mom did that constantly. Don't be that person then. You remember how sucky it felt. Don't be that person. Be the other one. Get them involved. My dad did it, says Lisa. Never thought about that. My Barbie bus would be worth a fortune now. Yeah, I kind of wish I had some Weebles, honestly. You know? Yeah, Brooke says, my mother, 74, still talks about her mom throwing out her original Barbie in clothing. Right. So Madison says, my mom traumatized me with not letting me get rid of anything. Now I am her. So notice that's the flip side. She wasn't getting anything. It was like, no, you can't get rid of that. That's kind of like my mom. She did it in her own way. She was dealing with her own trauma, probably. You know, my daughter does that to my granddaughter who was 17, and now you're right, she's very traumatized. Because that to me is a sign of, I know this is going to sound extra harsh. I want to dial it back a little bit, but these are the words that are coming to me. It's a sign of disrespect, and it creates distrust. Because if you say that this is yours, then this is mine, and I get to be part of the decision making. When you take away that ability for me to make a decision, that's disrespectful. You're not respecting the boundary of this is my toy, I want to do what I want with it. Now, as a parent, sometimes you see you have too many quantities, so you get involved in the process and you allow them to get used to the fact that some of this stuff is not going to be here for forever. Maybe you have that table down the basement like I do with the stuff that you're not sure what to do with, and then ask the kids and get them used to the idea. They are so lucky to have too much, but there are kids out there who have none. Little kids have big hearts. I would like to think that little kids and kids of all ages, if they knew somebody was hurting, they would do what they could to help. That's what I do. That's why I show up at these TikTok lives, 9:34 in the morning on a Thursday before Thanksgiving, 2024. I show up to help you work through this, you know? Now, I love this, to get back on kind of what's going on in the comments. It's me, Gen X, says decluttering the closets now. Awesome. Yeah, Terry says, I need to use that logic with my clothes. Yeah, everybody, it is totally okay. You are allowed. You have permission. You have the power to make the decisions on what is going on in your house and in some places, hopefully your body. I'll be frank, because a lot of the parallels are coming to me. Don't let somebody else take that power away from you. If you don't know you have it, if you're like, I don't know what to do, you do know what to do. Just sit with yourself. Don't rush. Don't beat yourself up. Be quiet. Calm down. And we'll chunk it down. We'll figure it out. You know? Yeah. Laura San Diego says, it doesn't even have to be kids. It can be cats. I'm going to put away some of my cat toys now. You know? Yeah. Oh, good. So many things. I'm going to run down here. Yep. Cat mama. Mom threw out my Barbie case from the early 60s. I love it. Mima says, my church does a yard sale each beginning of December. A year, I've given them a lot of them. Churches, people. I know places that don't have a lot of resources. You got a church. Look for the steeples. Open the door. They're the peoples, right? Whatever it is. This. Remember? Karen A says, we downsized our home and I had to declutter decades of stuff. So freeing. It was hard work. I would say it was hard work, but it's so freeing. Yeah. Notice how free you feel. You know? Yeah. Oh, I love it. Gigi Gina. My mom threw away my Mrs. Beasley by accident. She could have been rage cleaning. I do not envy women in history. I don't envy women ever, really. We've been dealt a hand. But she could have been like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do and I don't know what to do. And she's like, F it. And she just pitched it. Yeah. Laura says, my mom grieves the teddy bear of hers that got tossed, and yet she tossed my beloved plushie. Yeah, I will be honest with you. There's a client I was working with, and last week we talked about this very same thing, and she did not realize until we were just talking about it how much what she did to her daughter is something her father had done to her as far as getting rid of stuff, and also what her siblings did. Oh, I didn't think you would want that, so we just made a decision without your input. Those stories can stick with you. As you can tell, decades and decades and decades ago it happened, but it's hurting you still today. So notice when you might do that and do something different. You know, now Lisa says, sometimes I went the opposite. I don't even have pictures on my walls. Yeah. Diane says, we never had a lot of toys growing up. I had hand-me-downs. Yeah, we did too. We had new stuff, but we had hand-me-downs as well. Yep. It's me. Deb says, my mom left. My dad gave me a trash bag for clothes and toys. That's all I could take. Yeah, so notice we all have stories in our past about what it means to have things and have to let go of them when it's out of your control. You know? I love it. It's me. Deb says, I chose Fluffy the monkey over Madame Alexander. I was 10. That's cool. Yeah. Now I love it. This is really good, Laura. I am trying to make sure I ask my kids what they want or not. It slows me down, but I want to respect. Slowing down is fine. That's you knowing that you're going through this journey, feeling good about the progress you're making on a daily basis. You don't want to get to the end and have your kids pissed off at you. So involve them in the process. Do you want this? Allow them, as I wrote down the other day with this client, the right of first refusal. No, thank you. And also, do not guilt people into things. You know what it feels like to be guilted into something. That's probably why you have a lot of stuff in there in your house, because you're guilting yourself into it because other people have guilted you. Let's break the chain, people. Boop. Let's not be those people that we don't like what they did. Let's not repeat those things. Okay? And you will feel better, even if it takes slowly. And it doesn't have to take that much time. You can snap a photo of something while you're going through it. When your brain says, oh, the kids might like that, or I wonder if they want that. Snap a photo and not necessarily ping them. How about this? How about this? How about this? But you could then put it aside. Remember I talked about that kind of yellow table, like the table of yellow stuff? You could put it aside for them, take a picture of each individual item, and then almost like an auction. Like I say auction because I was just scrolling through an auction that my local historical society is doing. Scrolling through the pictures, you could send them just all the pictures at once. Say, hey, these are the things I don't want. Before I do something with them, do any of you want them? Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah. Yep, Diane Hamburg is doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yep, gave away our troll doll. Yep, I asked my kids if they want anything, says Diane Hamburg, and I'm getting rid of, but tell them they don't have to take it. Yes. Yes. Oh, see? There's Mrs. Beasley dolls. Now, I used to collect stuff. As you can see, I've got stuff here. I remember going to, I've heard stories, and that's why collectors, Carla and I were talking about this, about the bowl. the wooden bowl you would make biscuits in. People try to recapture that good feeling from their history. They don't, they don't necessarily need a Mrs. Beasley doll. It's more of trying to replace that feeling of mistrust and disrespect. Yeah, and Gina, if your mom was definitely a rage cleaner, don't be surprised. That's why Mrs. Beasley got pitched out. I wanted a Mrs. Beasley so much. Okay. Yeah, I wanted, and notice that when you want something and then you don't get it, how does that feel? There's all sorts of stuff. Yep. So notice Gigi, I offered, because Gigi's saying she also threw away my framed baby pictures, which were very few. People deal with clutter in the only way they know how. You right now, my loves, are dealing with your clutter in the best way you know how. Now, the cool thing is you're talking to me, which is a resource that your mom didn't have in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. She didn't have anybody to talk to, or the people who did it were maybe wired differently. I do this because a lot of us now, ADHD is a thing, and people identify with that. So there are resources now that there weren't available back then. You can do something different with your clutter. You don't have to repeat what happened. Carla knows this. Again, I'm just using you because I think of your mom collecting all that stuff, and you're like, hell no, I do not want it. Yeah, it wasn't important to her. I love this. Everybody's walking down memory lane. Yes, and Bobby Dugas says, it's more important to consider the person and their feelings than the actual item itself. Yeah, because here's the deal. We don't know. I don't know the things that my sisters have sentimental attachment to at my mother's house. I know I don't have certain attachment, but I don't know what their stories are. Because they grew up 5 and 8 years younger than me. So maybe that bowl that looks, I never remember playing with is something that they used to play with all the time, just as an example. So, yeah. Sandra D says, my mother was a war survivor and threw nothing away. I got screamed at any time I tried to help, okay? Notice how feeling lack and not having control over what you have and suddenly having nothing can throw you into survival mode. You guys, we have war back in the 20th century, wicked lot of wars. I think of World War I, I think of the Great Depression, and then I think immediately after of World War II. That was a time of lack for a lot of people. We have the same thing in our more recent history. Think about how people got into a tiz during COVID when there wasn't enough toilet paper, when there wasn't enough food. When things are taken away from you, when your comfort and your safety is threatened, because all of a sudden you can't get something that's going to help you survive, you get into survival mode and acquisition and hanging on mode, and some people never get out of that because they don't want to feel that way again, but instead they feel something equally or more awful, which is hanging on to too many things. Notice this about them. Understand the context of where they came from, and you can better understand yourself and the thoughts and feelings that you were informed about with clutter as you grew up. So, yeah, and people, we live in a different time now. We really do. I can hit a button on a computer. I am talking to you on a cell phone. Can you imagine? We are totally living in the Jetsons and Little House on the Prairie at the same time. Things are different. I can hit a button on my computer and no lie, whatever, the thing I wanted could be delivered within 2 hours from an Amazon warehouse. That's not how it used to be. But notice where your habits of thinking and feeling and acting about your clutter is informed by what happened to you prior to today. Right? So notice all these stories. I am just seeing people walking down memory lane. Yeah. Yep. So, I can't get rid of anything. Gail Danish, yes you can. You can get rid of something. You do. I bet you put the trash out. You have a thing of trash. You do it every week. Your body poops. You throw away milk that's gone bad. You can get rid of some things. Other things you may struggle with. That's okay. If people weren't struggling with clutter, I'd be out of a job. I would not be showing up on TikTok. So you are not alone in feeling like I can't get rid of anything. You can get rid of something. Notice the absolutes. Notice those declaratory shutting down sentences. I can't get rid of anything. 100% of things I cannot get rid of. I like to poke a hole in that. Almost like a court jester. Really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Then I want to pet that dog. Can I pet that dog? Right? You guys know you're on TikTok as much as me, probably. Just realize that it isn't all or nothing. It's not black or white. It's gray. And each thing's going to be different. You can get rid of some things. Notice that thought. I can't get rid of anything shuts you down. You don't move forward. You're just kind of closed down. I can get rid of some things. Notice how my voice even goes up. I can get rid of some things. I do get rid of some things. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. So some things are easy for me to get rid of. And even that phrase, get rid of, can trip people up. I fall into it because it's a habit. But get curious about the things that you are easily getting rid of, giving new homes to, getting out of your life, and congratulate yourself on the stuff that you're doing even without coaching. I just offer to you that I know, because I have walked through it and I help people through this. This is what I do. There is a category of items in your home that is stuff that I struggle to get rid of. Now, this is the funny thing. Every time I do a TikTok live, it comes out differently because my brain offers me different inspirations. Try this, try that. Tell them it this way. Maybe that'll figure it out. So I am picturing that table that I have down the basement of items that I did not know what to do with at that time. And I put the things that I didn't know what to do with on that table, and I was cool with that decision at the time. But I didn't just leave them there and ignore them. No. I would then go back and check that on that table. And maybe, oh, you know what? You know what I just realized? I could donate this to so-and-so. You know what? I bet the Historical Society might want this for their auction. Hey, my sister, she's got that thing. It doesn't happen all at once. Okay? It doesn't happen all at once. Okay? So, Sandra D., yeah, the artist says, I just paid $1,000 to have a full load of trash hauled away. Trying not to cry. There's still more. Okay, Sandra D., first of all, everybody, notice how clutter can cost you money. Yeah. Having to pay $1,000 for somebody. Paying for storage. Paying for duplicates of items because you can't find the one you want. All sorts of things can cost you money. But you know what, Sandra D., I think it's really cool for you to have done that. You have a full load of trash now no longer in your life. Would you have wanted to do it differently, cheaper? I don't know, maybe, but you got it out of your life. That is the most important part. I paid somebody $1,000 to get rid of a lot of crap that was in my parents' house, with my mother's permission, of course, and she knew about it. She was participating in it. But it was stuff that it was too awkward and heavy for us to bring to the dump. And I learned from a friend of mine who lived nearby. He's like, I know a guy. So I came, and all I had to do was point. They put it in. And frankly, I know this sounds awful to the earth. I don't know where they put it. And frankly, I don't care. Because it was important to me to get that stuff out because it made my mom feel so much better. Okay? So do not feel bad about what you did. Learn from the process and don't reclutter again. Let me help you with this, you guys, okay? Decluttering really has two major components. But one of them is the one that gets all the credit, is the decreasing of the amount of items in your house. Sandra D., you just did that. $1,000 worth of stuff is out. That is only half of the process. The other half is then changing your habits so you don't reclutter again. Sometimes it's very easy because the clutter wasn't yours and it's somebody else's. Boom, you're done. And then you go back to the daily living in your house. But other times, if you do not change your mind and your habits and practice those. It's like a creature double feature on Channel 56. It's like the clutter, the return of the clutter. It cluttered again. I cluttered again. The return of the clutter. Right? So, yeah, user 6247 says, I just paid $350 to have a trailer of trash removed, and I have more to get rid of it. There are many ways you can release these items, but notice what happened with the both of you, the people who spent the money. You made a decision. You decided what went into the trailer and what didn't. That decision making is what decluttering is all about, Charlie Brown. You know? Notice that. Yes, the revenge of the clutter. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Lisa says that's my struggle, and I'm here. I've never understood storage units delayed. They're when people can't make decisions, they put them away. When you don't know what to do, you tuck it away. You know? And all of us have stories about that. You know? Now, Lisa says, my struggle is I think about if it's worth anything. You guys, you can find that out right now. Well, not right now because I've only got about 9 minutes left. Hang out with me until like 9:59, 10 o'clock. Then I hop off and then I do decluttering. Get onto Google. Get onto eBay. Find out if those things are worth anything. And please find out sooner rather than later. Now, the market for used items does change. Sometimes things are worth a lot and then they're not. So see where you are in that trajectory. And then if one of the reasons you have to hang on to something is it might be worth something, find out if it's worth something to anybody else. That can help make your decision as to what your next step will be. Now, I have items that have been worth a sizable amount of money recently. And I have stuff that I thought was going to be worth something, and it's worth nothing. There was a thing yesterday on TikTok, I don't know why it came up, but algorithm, about a guy who bought a bag of Doritos in 1999 for 99 cents because it had Star Wars things on it. He thought he was going to retire. Oh, I'm going to invest in this thing. And then he just sold it recently for like $3. That's why I say, find out now what those things are worth so you can make an informed decision. And also, a pro tip. If you see something you're selling and it has sold on eBay for a lot of money, just remember that the person who was willing to spend that amount of money for that thing is now out of the race. They are good. They bought the thing. So now it's going to be what it's worth to the next person next in line. And that next person in line may not be the person who's willing to spend the big money. So notice what it's going for on average. Okay. All right. Junk haulers. Yeah, somebody's got the junk haulers. So notice there are ways you can remove the things, but you can't remove anything unless you make a decision. Yeah. Now, user 6242 says, I usually get stuck, but having the trailer in my driveway, I just started throwing a lot away. So sometimes, notice earlier in the TikTok live, and again, if you haven't met Beth, Destination Declutter, Decluttering Life Coach, somebody said, this is where I get stuck. Notice where you get stuck and what can you do to get yourself unstuck. You know? Yeah. Intraday Sun says, I had a Star Wars book before the movie came out. It got thrown away, so now I have to work. Yeah. You know what? These things happen to everybody. I can still remember the Haywood Wakefield furniture and the round leopard skin poof that I did not buy at the Salvation Army in Framingham, Massachusetts, circa 1985. Because I didn't have the money on me, and I went to go get the money, or permission, frankly, to buy it. When I went back, somebody else had already done it. You know? There we go. Mama Pepper put 3 pairs of shoes in a box in the car and are going to donate them. Yep. You know? Yep. Cat Mama says, somebody just paid $6 million for a banana duct taped to board. No lie, on the news. Could have helped a lot. Yeah, but guess what? Look at the world around you. People make decisions on what they want to spend their money on. Is it going to help people? Is it going to help them? You know? Every little bit helps, says LA643. Look at you. Are you reading my mug? Every little bit helps. okay? Excuse me. Storage units have their place in your life occasionally. They can be a temporary third place to store things when you don't know what to do with them. But notice my use of temporary. Long term, and they make it so easy. They make it so easy. You just, every month they charge you, every month they charge you, every month they charge you. I had a talk about this with a friend of mine from high school. She lives in Hawaii now. We grew up in Massachusetts. She lives in Hawaii, and she lived overseas for a while. So at that point, it kind of made sense for her to have some things in storage because she was expecting to come back to the U.S. However, when she came back to the U.S., she still didn't deal with those things, and it just, every month, $30, $40, $50, $60, it adds up. So delaying your decisions costs you money, and it just causes you peace of mind. The longer you delay planning that trip, the longer you're just staying here and you're not looking forward to that trip or actively working towards it. I just made the final payment on a vacation that my husband and I are taking in January, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited to look forward to that. And I've done the things. Now I just have to wait and it's going to happen. So why are you delaying? You don't have to answer me, but give yourself that question and ask yourself. And I don't know, maybe the first answer that pops out of your head, I'll give that to you and then I'll toss it aside. After I don't know, what do you know? And if you want to know, that's what coaching helps you with. And if you don't want to listen to yourself, noted, Yeah. LA64367 said, I had to let a storage unit go of Mom's. No way to go transport things back here 8 hours away. So yes, they do have lives. Yeah. Even some really simple things, okay? I've been breaking down Amazon boxes while listening. What a difference. Yes, 1138. Notice the little difference you can done. And that is, Shannon in retrograde is giving you a little high five there. It is great before and after, And yeah, I wanted to fill it to the brim, filling it to the brim, getting your money's worth when you've got the people coming over. Notice how that can help you make a decision on stuff. Yeah. And Carla Jane says, and notice the difference, because money is not all the be-all to end-all. Unlike some people think. Because notice the people who make shit tons of money, who are still so unhappy, that they are making other people unhappy too. They don't even know what to spend their money on. They're buying too many things because they're still unhappy. They're flying rockets to the moon as opposed to giving a meal to everybody on the planet and still having a fuck ton of money left over. Pardon my French, but I really feel passionately about the fact that, it is so wrong to have so much that you'll never be able to spend it in multiple lifetimes, and yet you are so unhappy that you can't see how much you could help the world. I already donate a real lot of the money that I make with my coaching to charities. I do. I don't like to brag about it, but I make enough for what I need, and anything else, anything extra, I donate. Because I don't need that much. I love my life. More is not going to exponentially increase the value of my life. So I bring this up because Carla Jane says something really important. I need the money, but I want the empty space more. So sometimes that empty space is going to cost you money. But that is an investment in your peace of mind. And it's funny because we always think of the mind up here. Maybe this is where your brain is, and maybe I think of your head and your heart. But when I think of peace of mind, I think of And then you know what? The that I feel right here, like I love the things I look at. They're all where they're supposed to be. I know where things are if I want to go use them. When I go to use them, they're of good quality. When I'm done using them, I know where to put them away. And I have just the right amount of stuff for me to live the life I want. Now, that's going to be different from all of us, but notice where that concept of too much has got you listening to me and talking about clutter. We think too much, like, oh my God, this one slice of bacon is going to taste really good. Oh my God, I love this. I want another bacon and another. I I did this myself. I made myself sick once because I said, gosh darn it, I can eat as much bacon as I want, and I'm going to. Ha, you can't tell me no. Well, I did, and I ended up feeling really ooby for quite a while. I learned that lesson. So we are learning our lessons now about too much, and now I know when to stop with bacon. Sometimes. I love bacon. The good kind, not the thin stuff. Okay? Yeah. Now, 1138. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. I got to sign off. I have coaching. I got into the zone. Okay? You guys rock. I will see you the next time I do a TikTok live. DestinationDecluttered.com. Sign up with the mailing list. Bye. Bye. Bye.